What the F was that?
That's in this very rings.
That is not
Intro.
us. Okay, so
No.
apparently you can attach your intro to the stream now. Anyway, yeah, clearly we are not in this very ring. We are Flyers Talk A2D. It's Tuesday night. So clearly we are not them. A lot to talk about tonight. We are going to do a little pregame while they get the game underway here. We're also going to talk about that first period there. We're also going to live react to the game as well. We're going to also discuss the one big thing that I'm actually really looking forward to discussing with these boys here, and that's the trade that happened the other day with the Flyers and the Flames. So hit that like, hit that subscribe. We're going to do our actual intro now. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Let's go talk some puck.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of Flyers Talk A2D. I am Matt Sinsudi along with the Darkwing, Brian Daly.
We're off to a great start here, boys. Let's go.
And the Broken One, Rob Povey.
That's a little more like it.
Yeah.
And Mr. Blue Shirt, Mr. Broadway, Mr. Switzerland, Big Bad Brad Ryer. And we welcome everybody back here to Flyers Talk A2D on A2DRadio.com, brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy. If you've got any aches and pains that are causing you no end of discomfort, then hit up the doc, Dr. Paul Vidal. Make an appointment at SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com, and then go visit one of his locations in Burlington or Cherry Hill, New Jersey. He's got great staff in both locations. After you go there, you will feel as good as new after a couple of sessions. Those aches and pains won't be bothering you so much anymore, and you'll feel pretty good. You'll be able to get back to doing the things you like to do, and hopefully you won't have to worry about pain after you're done it. You'll still be able to enjoy it all the same. So Specialized Physical Therapy, and our poll question for today is Flyers need, again, it's all capital, so I have to scream it, to get off to a fast start and get the first goal tonight. Agree or disagree?
Oh, easy agree. Slam dunk poll. This is one that I think we needed to definitely talk about, especially after the last three games. Got to get the offense going. Got to figure it out. The longer this goes, the more frustrated the guys are going to get. Got to get out. Got to get a fast start going here. Scott Hartnell said it best on the pregame show. Got to figure out a way, even if it's dirty, just get guys in front. Take away the eyes of the goaltender. Secondary, third chances, create havoc in front of the net and just get a dirty goal. It's going to help get the monkey off the back, and then you just keep going from there.
Okay. And let's see here. Robbie, how do you feel about it?
I think there's no question, right? You're coming off 3 straight shutouts, being outscored 10-0. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty important to get the first goal tonight. I absolutely slam dunk agree. And it comes from, to Brian's point, it doesn't have to be gorgeous, doesn't have to be the perfect shot like we've seen even a veteran like Scott Lawton be guilty of missing the net last game, right? Get the pucks on net, right? Get dirty in the high danger areas, and goals will come, especially against a team that, they're not solidified defensively. They're great on the special teams, right? Or I'd say middle of the road power play, but their penalty kill has been 7th in the NHL. So you got to get dirty in front of the areas, right? And also score on the transition game, Brad.
Yes, transition game is good. Is very important. I was watching the Flyers, not the Flyers. I'm sorry. I was watching the Blue Jackets in Buffalo, and they flashed a very interesting stat about they were bragging how Buffalo is how good they are scoring off the rush. Well, guys, the Flyers have scored, I believe, 55 goals this year off the rush, which tells you that and that's third in the entire NHL. Washington is first, by the way, and Carolina is fifth. So that would tell you the Flyers have a lot of speed and they can score that way, but they also have to be able to crash the net and get in front of the goalie and shoot the puck and stop being so fancy, because the fancy stuff is just not going to work.
Right.
This team does not have enough high skilled players to be playing fancy hockey. They've got to get in front of the net, and they've got to basically own that part of the ice. I mean, they've got to get in the corners. They've got to win the battles, and they absolutely have to score the first goal tonight. I mean, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And no foolish turnovers, behind the red line, and make sure you play a clean game defensively, because this is a must win for them. It really is. This can't continue.
No, I agree. It's definitely a must win.
So, my opinion on this, Pris saying, for what it's worth, I haven't seen anyone say the Flyers won that trade, but most look at it from player for player perspective, not so much from the financial freedom the Flyers got from it.
I mean, hard to say who won that trade when the Flyers guys aren't even here yet.
No, they have visa problems. Is that what they said?
Mm-hmm.
How is it that the guys that the Flyers traded aren't having visa problems?
Well, keep in mind, too, you're getting somebody from, you're getting someone from Russia who is, there's been nothing but issues with Russian players, at least in terms of that stuff. And keep in mind, too, they're coming from a Canadian team to an American team. So I think that too also plays into it a little bit, because one side could say, well, yeah, you have a work visa for Canada, but do you have one for the United States? It may sound silly, but those little tiny logistical things always pop up when it comes to crap like this.
Right. And it's left them shorthanded now, especially when you're looking for any sort of skill in your top six forwards, right? And you want to see what you got out of this trade. Hey, first of all, best wishes to Frost and Farabee. Wish them nothing but the best. And so far, they fit in pretty well. They played decently. I believe Morgan Frost lit up the lamp in his second game. But both have been those typical negative players, so they do bring that with them as well in terms of being responsible defensively. I wish them the best of luck. But in the meantime, right, it's given the Flyers a little flexibility. You can bring back Nick Delorier, who's back in the lineup tonight, without having to make an IR move, because now the two new players, they're on the roster. They're on the non-active roster until the visas work out. And hopefully, according to all I'm reading, it should be worked out by Thursday against Washington.
Yeah, they're going to need him. They're going to need him for Washington without a doubt.
As for the poll question, agree. I mean, you always want to get off to a fast start in any situation. You want to strike hard, you want to strike fast, you want to set the tone early. So, easy agree on that one. As for Mike's saying, are we in full tank mode? I wouldn't say that. Full tank mode would have been we were trading literally everybody away and just starting from complete scratch, and only keeping players like Michkov around. So that would have been more like a full-on rebuild. And let's see, Joe's saying, to you, Bri, let me rephrase. We can now confirm not a contending team until 2028, 2029.
I'm still not going to go that late. I still think this team's not that far off. I mean, I said it last week. I'm going to say it again. This is going to be a pivotal offseason for the Flyers.
There we go. First goal.
Is that Obles?
I think it was.
There you go. Break the streak every time I talk.
And if that's
slider.
Yep. And I believe that's a Bull's first ever goal in the NHL. So congratulations to him.
And that's great because
nice screen too.
I think that's great. First of all, congratulations to him. That's a massive milestone in your career. Secondly, you love to see a guy like that get on the board early and break this, break this little streak. So the monkey's off the back here. Now you got to see how this team response and see if they can go out and get another one. Get TK on the board. Get Coots on the board. Get Brinks. Got to get Brinks, Forster, and Kate's line going again. This team scores a lot of goals when those guys are going. So that's going to be a big thing moving forward. To what I was going to say earlier, this is a pivotal offseason for Danny Briere. There's a lot of good free agents that are coming around. The Flyers have a lot of draft capital. Go out and give teams offer sheets. Like we were talking off air. Go out and try and steal Wyatt Johnson from the Dallas Stars. Go out, try and steal a Maverick Bork. Go out, steal a young stud puppy that's getting ready to have a breakout unfortunately, it's probably going to be a decent contract, and you're going to have to give up some draft capital, but sure yourself up the middle. This is the way to do it. If you don't think you're going to be able to do it via trade, you're going to free up some cap space, go out and spend it on a 22-year-old center. There's going to be plenty of RFAs available. This is like I said, it's pivotal for Danny Briere, but for right now, clear up as much cap space as you can. The cap is going up. They're going to have a ton of money this offseason to not necessarily just spend on players, but it's going to allow the Flyers to open up some space to let an Oliver Bonk, a Denver Barkey, a Jet Lachenko, give them an opportunity to have a chance next year and have this team take the next step forward. And let's get this next group of young guys up and ready to go.
And go ahead, Robbie.
Well, just to add on to that, I do think that it shows a lack of interest in competing for a playoff spot this year, especially when you have so many teams log-jamming there going for that second wild card spot, because you have a very unbalanced roster right now. And we even had 7 defensemen dressed the other night. And a lot of that does have with the visa issues, but you have now you have even a more lack of at the center ice position. But I really feel that this is an example of addition via subtraction. Frost wasn't working out. Maybe he'll work out better in the Calgary frame system, and it will allow for the depth of this roster to come up and take that next level, who could really achieve what a Frost and Therapy did, but maybe excel it with a little bit more consistency. I'm seeing good things tonight in terms of playing in the dirty areas. We saw on that first goal, Nick Delorier planting his ass right in front of the net, creating a screen. And it was just a simple shot off the corner from Abels. And, like to Maddie's point, first NHL goal.
Mm-hmm.
Priz is saying, feels like they traded for cap space and friend for Michkov.
Yeah, bingo.
Yeah, they played together in the KHL. They have familiarity. So, hey, you could catch lightning in a bottle. He fits in well with the Torch system, and the two of them show past chemistry. If not, you could let potentially walk. You got some draft capable. Well, I mean, we'll get into more of the deal later in the show, but I just feel that this is just such a smart move in terms of, really a 2-on-2 change of scenery. And if you could get anything close to what we saw from Kuz in his rookie season when he lit it up for Vancouver, then you really got something there. And I think it's worth taking a shot, especially with guys that you feel can be passed up on with the players you currently have in the system, in the pipeline, and who you can draft in a stacked 2025 NHL draft.
Yeah, and I think the steal in this draft was Jacob Peltier. This kid has such scoring potential. He's not going to be your first line center at any point. He's probably going to wind up being. He can play center. He can play left wing. He has really good vision on the puck. Very good speed. He's very responsible defensively, which is another big reason why I like him so much. Our friend Dylan Usser, who hasn't been around lately, which I have to give him a little earful about, thinks he's captain material. The guys who've coached him in the past think he's captain material. So this is a type of player that the Flyers are going to want in the locker room. These are guys that are going to create good culture. Kuzi is, he's not far off from his 70-point year. He could repeat it again with the right line and the right culture and the right system.
He had 39 goals 2 years ago, didn't he?
Yeah, and he also, this is a win, high risk, low risk, high reward for the Flyers, because again, he starts playing well enough, Mitchkov starts really getting his feet under him again, gets out of this pointless streak, starts finding some consistency, you can swap Kuzmenko at the trade deadline and get something back for him. So there's a bunch of different routes that you can go. Or, I mean, odds are they're probably going to keep him for the year.
You get a free look at him. You get a free look.
Yeah, but if he's playing well enough and you think you can get something for him, get something for him. Don't let him walk for free. To me, that seems a little silly if he's playing well.
You could re-sign him if he's fitting in well and they're scoring. He's got a scoring touch back.
But that also logs up that takes up a spot for somebody who could potentially take that winger spot that he's going to have. He's 29 years old. It's not necessarily a bad age, but I'd rather see somebody younger that's going to have more of a brighter future for this organization take that spot over Kuzmenko. And I'm a Kuzmenko fan. I like him. I think his personality is going to fit so well with this locker room. But if there's somebody else that's ready to go, like a Denver Barkley,
well, that's the question. I mean, if you don't think these guys are going to be ready to go in the next year or two, it wouldn't kill you to keep them if you could get them on a 1 or a 2 year deal.
And plus, I don't think you get rid of Farabee and Frost unless you don't want to give these guys an honest look in terms of potentially retaining them if they do fit in well and you do catch that lightning in a bottle. Because in terms of the draft picks, yeah, they're nice, but a 2025 second-round pick and a 2028 seventh-round pick, you got to give these new guys a look. So I'm kind of with you on that. But, I mean, again, you don't want to – I do hear what you're saying, Brian. You don't want to jam up, the pecking order for the Flyers, but – Kuzmenko's still young enough, I believe, 29?
29.
Yeah, so it still fits what they're doing here in Philadelphia.
I mean, maybe. Peltier is a guy you're going to re-sign. He's the piece that they wanted. He's the main player that they went after. Yeah. I don't think they felt like Kuzmenko was the perfect fit for Calgary. I mean, he wasn't the same player since leaving Vancouver.
Right.
So maybe you throw in those extra two, like that 2028 seventh-round pick. Here, we're going to throw this pick in, take Kuzmenko too. But again, none of us are in that conversation, so we don't really know. All we can do is speculate what is happening. But, I mean, unless he absolutely wows everybody and lights it up here, personally, I don't necessarily know if I see Kuzmenko getting re-signed.
Let's see here. What we got out here from the fam. Mike is saying, heard Washington is rebranding their jerseys back to the Screaming Eagle look, which I'm all in favor of. Just saying, tons of money coming off the books in the next 2 years, and the salary cap went up a lot. Lots of room for money moves.
And next 2 seasons, it's going to continue to climb. I believe it's going to top out in 2 seasons at 113. Is that right?
About right.
Something like that in that neighborhood?
Yep.
Meanwhile, Roska's saying the Utah Hockey Club sucks. I agree.
Well, get a name.
They are the Coyotes. Remember that.
Yeah, they're rebranded.
Yeah, it's the same. They are the Coyotes, even though they may have a different name, but they're still the Coyotes.
And let's see here. Eileen saying best of luck to the Eagles on Sunday. Thank you, Eileen. I'm sure all of Philadelphia is still waiting in bated anticipation for the Eagles and Chiefs rematch in the Super Bowl.
I am.
Is that a current Super Bowl jersey you got there, Bri?
You're damn right it is.
Ah, nice.
I'm 1 for 1 with the Super Bowl jersey, so I had to go out and get another one.
I see. Nice.
I didn't have it last year, and they lost, or 2 years ago, and they lost. So
you're trying to.
I had it in 52, and they won.
I
had it in 52. They won. Didn't have it in 57. They lost. So.
You say 52 and 57. You say 52 and 57, and it makes me think. Bri was not alive in 1952 and 1957. What the hell is he talking about? You don't know me. There wasn't even a Super Bowl back then.
You don't know me.
I thought they won in 49 and 60, but okay.
Again, though, it wasn't a Super Bowl back then, I don't think.
No.
It's a world championship. It all counts the same.
Right. Joe's saying the team is far off, though, Brian. 21 guys on roster, 1 of 12 forwards are first line quality, 2 of 12 are second line quality. The rest are checking line players. 1 of 6 D-men are first pairing worthy. All 3 goalies are backups. I
I'm
wouldn't.
assuming
Go ahead.
Joe doesn't think Tippett or Forrester is first line quality. I'm assuming he's talking that's Mitchkov. I think either one of them. I really like the development of Tyson Forrester this season.
Same. Forster, I think, is first line, second line. He's definitely top 6. Mitchkov is top 6. Tippett is top 6. TK is top 6. Luchenko is top 6 from that little bit that we saw. He's 18 years old, so he's still got a little bit.
I think
of
he's talking about right now, though.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he's saying right now, and that's why I'm like, I don't necessarily disagree with you, Joe, either, because we're seeing that step back, so that way, you could teach even through yelling on the bench, and you could take 2 steps forward with what you're doing here, and you're getting rid of guys like, let's face facts, the contract with Farabee, that was a Chuck Fletcher move, right? Danny B got that off the books. Now that's doing your job as a new GM, right?
Yeah. I mean, I got a bold take here, which I think is going to really help this team take the next step. Flyers don't re-sign Torts as a head coach. After this year, he goes up and becomes a part of the front office and really becomes a part of that group with Briere and Jonesy, and they bring in another head coach to help this team take the next step. I just don't think I love Torts. I love what he's done. I love that this team has battled and has not been as bad as people think that they were going to be. Love that. But I don't think he's the guy that's going to help this team take the next step. I just don't. He's not a developmental guy. He's a guy he's a coach you bring in when you're ready to win now. I do absolutely love the idea of the 3 of them putting this team together, though, because I think Torts is a very good judge of play. So I think he knows who's going to be good. I think he knows
he is a good talent evaluator.
Yes. So I think that's really going to help.
He is.
I think once he gets up in the front office with Briere and Jonesy, I think that's when we see this team really take that step forward, and they bring in a head coach that's going to take this team to the next step.
Or do you think they hire from within and promote one of the assistant coaches and keep the same administration, so to speak?
That's a possibility. I've heard the name, what's his name? David Carl from Boston College. I heard his name kind of thrown around, just spitballing with some people.
No more NCAA coaches. Thank you.
Who's the coach for the Phantoms?
I don't even know.
LaPierre. Yeah.
What about him? I mean, if he's dealing with all the young players, he knows all these guys. Just a thought. I mean, listen, the Rangers had their coach was Knobloch, and then he went to Edmonton, and look what happened.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think when the Flyers had their issues with coaching, which eventually led to them trying Alain Vigneault and got one good year out of it, they didn't really give Gordon an opportunity. They just had him be the interim coach for the whole season, and the Flyers actually did pretty good under him towards the end of the season. Of course, that was several years ago, but there is a possibility there that you bring up a coach from the Phantoms. May not be the end of the world. John Stevens came up from the Phantoms, and the Flyers did pretty good under him. Did they go to the Stanley Cup Finals with him in 2010? No, but 2008 was a pretty solid year for the Flyers after having that brutal 2007 season. Stevens was a part of that. So there is some history of bringing a coach up from the Phantoms and it paying off a little bit.
Well, you look around the league. Sometimes it works, especially rebuilding teams. They know the players because they played. They coached them in the minor leagues. Sometimes that's a good thing. There's some familiarity there.
Yeah.
At least they know their strengths. They've seen them play all the time. Not that the Flyers management doesn't probably watch almost all their minor league games. I'm sure they do, but it just doesn't hurt to be the coach and actually be on the bench and hearing and getting a real good feel for what's going on.
Eileen was asking, where did Taka go? Taka is coaching in Vancouver. But
Good
besides
first
that,
season. Kind
That
of rough
team,
go at it
that
this
team is a
year.
mess
Oh,
right
yeah.
now.
yeah. Well, it
Sorry,
wouldn't.
Todd.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. Vancouver had an amazing year when they knocked off St. Louis in the bubble, and then they were crap the following year. So, I mean, not much changed in Vancouver, sadly.
Yeah, well, you're going to see a lot change this offseason because Elias Pettersson's going to get traded this offseason, and Quinn Hughes is going to go right behind him.
For Joe's comment
Ooh.
from earlier, though, I would disagree, though, with his assessment of the goalies. I mean, for one thing, it's still very early to judge Fedotov and as well as Kolosov. It's like still very early. These are rookies, raw rookies that are coming in here that have no experience, and they're really baptism by fire this year. Urson is a tandem goalie. I wouldn't necessarily call him a backup goalie. There is a distinction. A backup goalie.
I think he's proving that he's a starter in this league during this stretch. What's getting lost in the futility of the offense on this team is Arison has played quite well, and it's gone back to the Christmas break, and we've seen it again tonight where Utah has clogged up the middle and had numerous scoring chances, and he's continuing to shut them down. I think right now you do have a starter with Sam Arison, and you have guys that could develop. Maybe they are a backup. Maybe they are a proven starter. And then there's guys that you haven't even seen yet, Bjarnson and Zabregan.
No, I agree. I mean, he didn't have a good game against New Jersey. I mean, he let up a couple bad goals, but, I mean, that was just a horrible effort from the Flyers against the Devils, especially that second period. That second period was just absolutely dreadful. So I don't necessarily fully blame him for that. Since then, he's rebounded well.
In all fairness, though, Brian, the Flyers won the first two games against the Devils. You didn't really think the Flyers were going to sweep them this year, did you?
No, but to get smoked 5-0, didn't expect that.
No, well, that I get that. All I'm saying though is, the Devils may have had a little bit of a saddle in their butts for that game, whatever you
No,
call
of course
it.
he did. Like, I didn't expect him to come out and sweep
Yeah,
the
I mean, when
Devils
you
or
lose-
even
yeah,
win
you
that
don't wanna-
game. I expect them to win that game at least, but I mean, to see the Devils just destroy them in that second period was you can't go into a game expecting that ever.
No. I'm just saying, you would think that the Devils, as good a team as the Devils are, that they would really come out hard, and it would be very difficult to win 3 straight against them and sweep the season series. It's just, it's a pride thing with a lot of these teams too. It's hard to sweep a season series from a team, especially in the fact that the Flyers right now are a rebuilding team. And supposedly the Devils have all the pieces they need to maybe win a Stanley Cup.
Well, we'll have to wait and see how that works out. And let me take a look here, and I have some comments. I start off here to the side. Larry Aquilino saying, guys love the show, but I can't watch a complete game. Enough with this so-called rebuild. They are trying to do it halfway. Priz is saying a lot of players on the Flyers roster could probably still be here by the time they are ready to compete. A lot of young talent that haven't hit their peak potential. Priz is also saying Natchez has outplayed Rantanen since the trade. Carolina going to end up empty-handed when Mikko walks. And Ant saying, I'm so glad they got rid of Farabee and Frost. When will the new guys play for us? Also, hopefully, will they trade Lawton? Well, not sure about Lawton. We always hear the rumors. Not sure if they'll pull a trigger on it. But as for the whole when will the new guys play? Well, once the visa issue is taken care of.
I think, Robbie, you said possibly, what's today, Tuesday, Thursday?
Thursday against Washington is the hope. I mean, of course, I was reading tweets today from Jordan Hall, Charlie O'Connor. Nobody really knows for certain, and let's face facts: relations with U.S. and Canada are at an all-time high right now, so that may complicate things as well. But they were really expecting them for this game. It was surprising that they weren't here for the Utah game. So I would suspect they'll be finally in the orange and black come Thursday against Washington.
Go 22.
And let's see. Swoopy saying, please, nobody be upset saying we shouldn't have gotten rid of Farabee and Frost if they become good. If they become a Justin Williams or a Patrick Sharp, I wanted them gone. So if they become good, I won't be saying we should have given them more time. It just wasn't going to work out here. I will not be upset if they thrive. It wasn't going to happen here, even if we gave them more time. That's why nobody shouldn't get upset if they do good. And I mean, also,
I agree with him.
I mean, I will say too, as well, with the Justin Williams, Patrick Sharp, which are good pulls because they were both on the Flyers as young players, and the Flyers did trade them away before they really hit their peak. And that does kind of become a sticking point when people want to make fun of the Flyers of, yeah, you guys just wanted to get a bunch of old guys back in the day. But, you know, I will say this. I don't think anyone was expecting Justin Williams to become Mr. Game 7. And, I mean, I think Sharp, though, that's probably one you could throw out there that does have a sticking point. It's like, yeah, Sharp really showed potential very early on. So, yeah, I could give you that one. Williams kind of surprised everybody.
In those two examples, Maddie, they weren't given a large sample here in Philadelphia. I think Frost and Farabee were given an adequate sample to prove consistency, and they just couldn't prove it here in this system. That could change in a different system. These are both former first-round draft picks and high ones at that, too. So I wouldn't be surprised to see success. But you're never going to see them be defensively sound. That's just not in their their game. I mean, Farabee really worked hard, to his credit, to be a good back checker. But in the end, you know, you're talking about plus minus guys, you know, they're going to be in the minus there, and they're going to have spurts of goals. But what it does do is it gives Calgary, who's pushing for that or in that second wild card, you know, two guys that could put up 20 goals in a season. You know what I mean? So it's definitely an asset for them that you'll see this year on the short term. I believe Flyers will fare better from the trade in the long term.
Right. And then also another thing, too, that I think sometimes we forget is to look at the big picture here. You know, we sometimes individually look at the players themselves, but we don't look at the context of the situation. And it isn't just the coaching system, too. This is another form of two casualties for the Flyers of trading away players that aren't going to develop in the system that they're currently in, because we're invested in a new plan that they were not originally brought in for. And so when you have to try and fit a square peg into a round hole, you're going to have a hard time doing that. No matter how many times you try to file down those edges, it's not going to work like that. And that's the problem. We had so many short starts and so many half-assed attempts to do anything and rebuild anything, and had so many changes in regimes and coaches that it's kind of no surprise that we have prospects that weren't made for Torts' system and are kind of struggling underneath. It's like, it shouldn't shock anybody. It's like, yeah, this is what happens when you don't have a concise system and a concise plan for a whole decade. You're going to screw up prospects because you half-assed it the entire decade.
Plus, I mean, these are guys that were selected a few years ago, pre-Mitchkov, talent pool that you've amassed at this point. And let's face facts, I believe that there's more upside in this pipeline where it would Frost and Farabee would be potential odd man outs ultimately anyway. So get something now.
Ooh, we got a fight.
Yeah, we got Delorier and Dorian, two heavyweights.
Ooh, this is gonna be good.
The odds are on Delorier to win, by the way. Yeah, Delorier, I favor him to win.
Delorier and O'Brien facing off
Jake O'Brien.
No, it's going to get ugly now.
He's a tough customer. Ooh, here we go. We got him swinging. Oh, Delorier came in with a fire on that one.
This is exactly what this team
Delorier
needs right now.
coming.
So this is kind of spark.
Oh, I'm a little bit behind. I just saw what spurred it.
Oh,
Delorier kicked his ass. Oh my god.
oh, nice. That's some good shit there from Delorier. That's why you pay him the big bucks, and we did pay him big bucks.
Big bucks for what he does.
For what he does, yes.
Well, he does that very well.
He does. He
Yeah,
does.
he's-
But
need
yeah.
that. They need that.
Yeah, they do. And O'Brien, definitely no surprise that he was up for the challenge. O'Brien looks like an enforcer too.
Yeah,
So it made
Nicky
total
D
sense.
needs
He's
his
he is
presence has
not-
been missed.
He's not in the class of Delorier. He's not
Well,
an elite fighter. He's
Well,
tough,
I mean,
but he's not in that league. No.
you gotta work towards
Delorier is
that.
Delorier is in the in the league with guys like Olivier and that guy that's on the Devils that came from Colorado. I can't remember his name right now.
McDermott.
McDermott, yeah. Lowry from Winnipeg. I mean, those Reeves, those kind of guys. That's the kind of class that's the class he's in that O'Brien is not.
Nice. So let's see here. Other starred comments that I had here. Do you think Noah Cates, who has been the best center on the team, is just on a hot streak? Or can he sustain this play for the rest of his career?
I don't think he sustains it the rest of his career. I think he sustains it enough that he can be a solid third line center for this team moving forward. I think he has to have the right line mates with him. I think right now with Forster and am I blanking on who's on the other side? Brink. Yeah. Would absolutely be the best for him right now. I think in a couple years we'll see where he winds up, but with the way that he's playing and the blue collar and the work ethic, I think Noah Cates is going to be a very, very good third line center throughout the remainder of his career. I don't think he's going to be anything more than that.
And
I like him though. I like him very much.
He can be a special player, and I agree with you, what I mean? But he was a standout NCAA guy, and we're seeing the development now as he adjusts to the NHL level.
Priz is saying, bring Quinville back to Chicago. I'm praying for it. I'll even personally write Kyle apology letters myself on behalf of the entire organization. Just for the love of God, get Bedard some help. And then let's see here. Priz also said, I personally jinxed the Flyers from my agreement to the poll last week and predicted a shutout. It went the other way and got y'all shut out 3 times. That was my bad, and I apologize. That's all right, Priz.
My fault, Priz.
Listen.
I gave the kiss of death the minute I said that I agreed to the poll last week.
Listen,
the frustrating thing, boys, is that they haven't played poorly during this stretch either. I mean, there's been like stretches of 7-8 minutes where they make a lot of mental lapses, but I really like how they came out against the Avs. Seriously undermanned. And that first period, they owned the Avs, and they were making them make the mistakes in that game. And that just showed that, they're going to miss Frosty and Farabee. They were a part of this locker room, but the locker room's still intact, and they support the organization. It doesn't seem like a mutinous situation to me, by far.
By the way, Ovi scored another one, according to my source. So he's 18 off now?
Oof.
Maybe 17.
So Joe's saying, what do you think of playing TK for the last 25 games of the season? Have him center Mitchkov and Tippett. I just want to see Mitchkov produce. I don't want to lose our future superstar mentally.
Yeah. You won't. You got to remember, he's a kid. He's 19 years old. You're not going to lose him mentally. He's just got to – he needs a coach that's going to – not saying that Torts isn't that guy, but he needs a coach that's going to build him up. Torts is a guy who's going to build a guy up. He just does it in a very different way. Having a guy on his line that can actually speak his language would be more beneficial to him right now. I think that's where Kuzmenko is going to have a lot of positive influence to get Mitchkov into that next level. But I don't think there's any way that the Flyers will lose Mitchkov. The kid is just way too talented. He's way too talented.
and mentally tough too. And he knows what he's in for. And you know that a lot of this too is minute regulation. As you know, he's playing way more than he's ever played in his lifetime, and that's frustrating. You're going to bark out, because you know he's a competitor and he wants to play. But in the end, he studies this game. He's been, if you follow him on social media, he's just super supportive of the organization and what they're doing here. I just think men are gonna bark at each other in the heat of battle, and what comes from it can be really good things.
I mean, what I think it is, it's an example of Michkov's mentality a little bit. You know, he's got a bit of that alpha in him, and you know, when you have a young kid who's got that alpha mentality, you know, it's hard to tell him what to do sometimes, and you kind of got to rein them in a little bit, and that's going to lead to some arguments every now and again. But I like that mentality that he has. He's willing to say, no, I can do this. And sure, maybe he could be right, he could be wrong, but the point is that he believes in himself and he believes that he can do as good as he believes. And you want to have that mentality. You want him to have that ability and that confidence in himself. You know, can that rub sometimes the wrong way? Sure, it absolutely can do that. But again, to my opinion, I think it's a good thing to see in him. It's a good thing to see that he believes in himself. He believes he knows what he's doing. And Torts was just trying to rein him in a little bit and just say, hey, I know you're great, but let's pull it back a little bit here just for a second, you know?
Right. You want that snarl, Matty. You want them in a few of your players. You know, you want the snarl with a lack of ego, and that's hard to find. And I think the Flyers walked into, you know, with Michkov falling down as far as he did because of people's, you know, uncertainty of when he would be here. He's a good kid, and I wouldn't worry about the psyche as he's learning this game. But was it called for? I think it was called for. If you were watching that game 5-on-5, Michkov was dog shit, absolute dog shit, and you're not going to play like that. I don't care what coach you're playing for, right? And you want guys that are going to be able to take criticism and use it as fuel to their game and responding. We're seeing it a little bit tonight. I'm going to look up his minutes here in a little bit, but you know, when you're really rebuilding a situation, you want guys that are going to respond to a challenge and excel.
Absolutely.
You want guys to be held accountable. I mean, that's the one thing about Tortorella is that he holds everybody accountable if they're not out there playing, especially playing defense. You know what a stickler he is about defense and back checking. That's the one thing he demands. And if you're not going to block shots, you know, and you're not going to play defense, you're not going to play. He even had Marian Gaborik blocking shots when he was with the Rangers. And Marian Gaborik, I don't think ever blocked a shot in his life till Tortorella got there.
Yeah. I mean, Swoopy's also saying, I know Forster is showing great improvement, as Robbie said. He's a sniper, which the Flyers need, but I'm trying to be creative and trade him for a guy with his ability who is also a much better and quicker skater.
No. No. With his scoring ability, no. He's a 30-40 goal scorer. He's got such a heavy shot. They've compared his shot to Ovechkin's. You do not trade that. I don't care what you're getting back. You do not trade Forster.
And I'm fine with the speed. To Brad's point, this team is third best in the league in scoring on the transition. I don't think speed's the problem. Size is the problem. We need to get bigger up the middle, right? And I mean, if you got to break an egg like Forster to get bigger up the middle, I could see that. But who you're going to replace him with, and who you're going to replace that shot? Inversely, too, Michkov said about 4 minutes this game. To just put that in comparison, TK's at 5:13, so he is responding with top 6 minutes. You know, playing on the top line again with I believe it had him with Couturier and TK on the top line, according to Left Wing Lock.
And Larry's saying Michkov will never be a superstar. His straightaway speed is terrible, and he can't create space. I disagree.
No, you don't need straightaway.
You can't say that about a 19-year-old player.
And that's exactly what you saw him do early on in the season. It's wearing on him, boys. You can't like people need to take off the microscope right now. It's a little too much.
He played too much hockey. He hasn't
Right.
stopped since last year, so he hasn't really had a break. Two, his straightaway. You don't necessarily need straightaway speed to be a superstar in this league, and he absolutely can create space because he's so creative on his edges. He knows when to stop. He knows when to keep going. His agility is second to none. He's so creative with the puck that he doesn't need that straightaway speed. The guys just have to be ready at all times for him because they can get the puck at any second.
Yeah, but what was all those breakaway goals earlier on the season? I mean, I know it's on overtime. Okay, it's a 3-on-3, but there's been that breakaway speed. You got to get him with a solid 200-foot center. We've been saying it all season long.
Agreed.
I will say right now, I mean, I think that's an example of maybe putting a little bit too much on him, expecting him to be the second coming of Eric Lindros, which I feel is a very unfair comparison. And I get it. It's because he's the first real exciting player that the Flyers have brought in a while. And I get that. I absolutely get that. You want to be excited for that. You want to be pumped for that. Unfortunately, we have to kind of pull it back a little bit and remember what kind of player we drafted. Did we draft the second coming? No, we didn't draft the second coming. We drafted a really great potential player, a player that could absolutely be here for a long time and have a massive impact on this team. So that's what we have to remember, that it's he's not going to, again, there's a lot of expectations that was put on him. And I think it's unfair to, hold him to these massive standards on his rookie year. I understand everybody's talking Calder, everybody's talking this, everybody's talking that. Everybody's saying, oh, is he the next superstar like Lindros was? It's that's a lot to throw on him. Hell, it was a lot to throw on Lindros when he got drafted. Only difference is he was that good a player. It had no effect on, plus he had a year off. So
I mean, he's very much in the Calder discussion still, even after the swoon and play. He can get up to that point level, right? But maybe if he's not an Eric Lindros, is there any problem with being a Mikhail Renberg?
No.
And maybe the Lindros hasn't been drafted yet.
Or I like this comparison a little bit better. I think, Robbie, you're gonna get a kick out of this. Maybe Mitch Kava is a John LeClaire.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
But I think we also
see him more like Tarasenko, to be honest with you.
I think we tie too much. I think we tie too much into superstars as far as speed goes, because we see guys like Austin Matthews, who has good speed. We see Connor McDavid, who's probably the fastest skater in the league. Sidney Crosby has good speed. But the speed isn't necessarily what's going to make him a superstar. It's his ability with the puck, his creativeness, his vision, his willingness to shoot, his willingness to find the open guy. That's what's going to make him a superstar.
He's also fast. Don't make like he's slow. He's not a turtle out there. He can move. Listen, you guys are forgetting the Flyers are one of the fastest teams in the league. That little graphic we have, okay, proves that they're one of the fastest teams in the league. It's just a matter of these guys just learning to be consistent, especially defensively, not giving away grade A opportunities when they make mistakes.
Right.
That's really all it is, honestly.
Right.
I mean, they're fast enough. They just need a little bit more size.
Right. And Joe's saying Flyers have Coots for 5 more years at $8 million. If we're going to trade anyone, I would trade him. Playoff teams always want a two-way forward at the deadline. I don't know if they'll do that. I don't think they will. And wow, I think Urson just made an amazing save on Utah.
No, he absolutely did. Coots is with the 5 years left on there. It's too much to move. It's too much to move right now, and I still think Coots has some value on this team. No, his offensive numbers aren't going to be what he was at one point, but he still plays a very good defensive game, and he still wins faceoffs when the Flyers need him to. So he still has some value to this team right now. With 5 years left on that deal, I don't see any team taking that contract right now. Plus, he's got the full no movement clause, so they have to ask him to say, "Hey, we want to trade you," and he has to say yes. He's not going to right now. I guarantee you he's not going to, because he loves Philadelphia.
So we are at the end of the first period. The Flyers still have a 1-0 lead from the first ever goal from Rodrigo Ebols, who got his first goal of his NHL career. So congratulations to him. And Urson kept it 1-0 at the very tail end by making an amazing paddle save. So absolutely deserve the praise there for both of those Flyers as we head into the intermission for the second period, or the first intermission of the night. So, see, Priz says, reminds me of Pavel Bure and Datsuk. You can see the skill set, and they were both Russian players with the ability to score, and they did have value on special teams and even strength. Now, Larry does say 5-on-5 has been terrible. His goals have been scored on power play or in overtime.
That a lot of that is just his inability to pretty much lock down on the defensive side. He's just not good 5-on-5 right now, and that's going to change with time. That's a part of the growing pains of him being a rookie and being 19.
Right.
Got to remember, he's still adjusting to the NHL. It's a different game from the KHL.
Right.
Give him time. He's not going to be that 40, 45 goal scorer that the Flyers need right now. He's just not.
Not yet.
Not yet.
At some point, yes. Not yet.
Sam Calorie saying,
Give him till he's like 22 or 23.
long as Michkov is in the Calder race, Torts has no business benching him. This team is not making the playoffs, so cut the kid loose and give him as much ice time as possible. And let's see here. And Swoopy was saying that they weren't fast enough with stamina. They tire out easily.
Of course you do. Of course they do. Have you ever played hockey? Your legs are burning at 35 seconds every single time. I don't care who you are. Your legs are on fire by 45 seconds, and you feel like you're going to die at a minute.
Maybe they got their conditioning up practicing at the Oval out there in Utah.
One of us was
running laps, I heard they were running
laps. Was out there for a minute on skates, playing like that. You'd need a stretcher to get us off the ice.
Yeah. But I mean, what's funny is that when you think about sometimes you see in playoff games, especially when it goes to overtime, you see some guys just logging 60, 70 minutes. You're like, Christ. You're like, good Lord. Just imagine the conditioning you have to be in to be able to do that.
Like, I was never in great shape, but when I played, my legs were burning at 35 seconds because you don't realize how much of that muscle you are actually using. It's got nothing to also. It's not always something to do with stamina, but you don't realize how fast and how hard those guys are pushing until you play. Mm-hmm. It's just a complete different animal.
And by the way, those boards hurt.
Depends on where you are. Some boards are worse than others, but yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play a lot of ice hockey. I played a lot of street hockey, but I got to tell you, if you're playing forward. Defensemen don't really do that much in street hockey, but if you're playing forward, you got to go chasing the ball into the corners, and somebody hits you into those boards, they hurt.
Yeah.
And if you get hit lower too, it's even worse because the lower you go on the boards, the harder they get.
Oh yeah,
so it's even 10 times worse if you're going lower. Priz saying he's only 5'10", 172. He's not going to be a big body winger. His skill and hands, and he's going to eventually have the game slow down for him, and he's going to dance around people.
Right. But I think if you rush it too soon, then you shoot a kid's confidence. I don't see this organization putting results in the Calder Trophy race ahead of personnel development with this kid. I just don't, and you can burn that candle out too quickly, right? It needs to be developed. It needs, I mean, I get Sam, look, I get it, and I understand. Everybody wants to see the kid play. He's the most skilled guy on this team right now, like on this current roster. So I get it, but I feel they're handling the situation appropriately. Right, you're giving them minutes. You're not healthy scratching them with regularity. That was done once earlier in the season, so we could watch the game up top, and then you watch the game on the bench if you're not playing the right way. That's just like I said. I think two, you could get more talent out of him with a better, adequate 200-foot center, and one guy I have my eyes on in terms of potential free agents this offseason, I believe, Brian plays for your Anaheim Ducks. I played
Oh,
him a lot
no,
in DFS
nope.
this year.
No.
I want Mason McTavish. I want Mason McTavish.
No. He ain't going nowhere.
Tommy
what?
Likey.
It's
Tommy
funny. It's
Witty.
funny you mentioned that because a couple of guys that I work with at the hockey store said the same thing. But I'll tell you this: if you want a guy who fits the mold of what you're describing for Michkov, Mason McTavish is going to be that guy. But you also got to think about it too, like the way that the league is kind of doing it right now. There's not a whole lot of breaks in hockey, so when rookies are coming in, rookies are getting time to have time as a healthy scratch, not maybe play as much as like some of the other guys. So maybe they're not playing the 20 minutes. Oh, interesting. Okay. Sweet. Hey, Maddie, where'd you go?
Well, you want an example of a guy who's not big in stature, that started off slow and is really great now. Cole Caulfield on the Canadiens.
But yeah, I mean,
they're very similar They're very similar players. Look what he's doing now.
Yeah, they
give him a chance
Leo
to
Carlson,
play.
Leo Carlson's a guy who didn't play most of the year last year because he played a lot of hockey heading into his rookie year. Adam Fantilli, another guy who didn't play a ton of hockey, but he played a lot going into the year. So it's becoming a thing where players are starting to condition their rookies to not play the full 82, not necessarily out of anything bad for the player, but to be able to give the kid some rest and some time to not completely tire him out, burn him out in mid-season. So maybe him having some time sitting up in the press box is not a bad thing this year, and let him go gung-ho, get a full season off-season rest, get him gung-ho, and let's go. Get him ready for next year so we can play the full 82.
It's better than getting exhausted down at the AHL level, isn't it? Playing with the best of the best, and that's part of the contract of getting him here, right? He had to stay on the NHL roster, so it's a little different. And I get that people don't like players being handled with kid gloves, but that's what you're going to get in this scenario.
Pris saying, "How did you get human hands? I got Simpson hands."
Who? What? Me?
Well, Larry's saying Caulfield can fly and creates opening. Well, what is it? Caulfield's been playing for a little bit, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, but my point about Caulfield is that when he first came up, he was pretty invisible, and a lot of people in Montreal, you know how patient those fans are. Okay, they thought he was a bust after his rookie year. I mean,
Well, you might think that after winning 25 Stanley Cups, they'd learn to be a little patient.
Oh no! You know they're the absolute worst. You know that.
But there was also a lot of skepticism coming behind Cole Caulfield that he was going to be too small and not be able to play in this league.
Hey, that's
He's
my
proving
point.
him wrong.
That's my point about Michkov. Okay, Michkov isn't the biggest guy in the world, but if you got the skill, Caulfield is my example. You see how good that guy is. Okay, he's not a big player at all. He's short. Okay, and but he's got a great shot, and he's not the fastest guy in the league, but he can skate well enough. And he's having a fabulous year for Montreal this year.
So, with the time that we have left, I think it's time. Let's dive into the Flyers-Flames deal. I know we've been talking about it a little bit with Frost and with Farabee on that side of it. But let's talk about overall how we feel about the trade and how – I know we've had a chance to express it a little bit, but let's take a look at the deal in detail and see what the Flyers got back and what we gave up to the Flames. And after hearing the entire deal, does it change anybody's opinions? Maybe it will. Sometimes you see the whole detail and you may get a new perspective on things. Maybe. Probably not, but it was worth it out. It was worth the shot. But anyway. So let's take a look.
Oh, sorry, Maddie. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
No. Go right ahead, Robbie.
I'm starting to see Brian's point on where Peltier was more of the target here. 24. He will turn 24 March 7th, and big assist guy down at the AHL level. Play, set up guys. That's always going to be valuable.
Yeah, he also had 80 points in the Q as well, when the Q is one of the hardest junior leagues out there. This kid's going to be a stud, but he just needs time. Right now, Calgary, he doesn't have a spot in Calgary. It's the same thing with Tippett. You know, we saw what Tippett can do when given the ice time, and unfortunately, you know, we don't exactly know what's going on with him right now. But you know, maybe you catch lightning in a bottle twice with Peltier and gets a chance to really show off what he can do, and really take that next step in his development and become a really, really good, versatile forward for the Flyers.
Yeah. So essentially, what we got here in this deal is obviously the two players, Andrei Kuzmenko, who came over to Philadelphia from Calgary in exchange for Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee. Flyers also acquired Jakob Peltier, a second-round pick in the 2025 NHL draft, so this year, and a seventh-round pick in the 2028 draft, which obviously that's not necessarily the most important part of the deal there, but still, overall, it's interesting that the Flyers wound up getting a second-round pick for this year's draft. Again, I like the fact that they're stocking up for this draft. Obviously, we still have those first-round picks that we've been talking about for a little while, and a lot of debate on what the Flyers are going to do with them. Are they going to try and trade and move up in the draft? Are they going to keep all of them? Are they going to try and work out a possible blockbuster deal, but in a way that fits the Flyers? Not a blockbuster in the sense of we bring a veteran in, but a blockbuster is in we bring in a really talented young player. You know, there's been a lot of speculation on what the Flyers will do with that. It's interesting that they're getting a second-round pick for this year's draft as well. So do you think that alludes to anything possibly for what the Flyers intend to do with those first-round picks, stocking up on another second-round pick for this year's draft?
I mean, that's at the beginning of the show. And Lenny, I see in the chat. What's up, brother? Just joining, jumping in the chat. I alluded to this before. I think it'd be smart for them to go after some of the restricted free agents with the draft picks that they have. It's an opportunity for them to go out and sign a young guy and bring him in, which is going to obviously cost money, but it's also going to cost draft picks. I love the fact that they have 7 in the first 2 rounds now. What is it? 10 in the first 3. So they have plenty of stuff to offer up as far as, to head back to the team should they not choose to match the offer sheet the Flyers make. That's where I think they can make their splash this year. Or you could always try and trade up and go get another player a little bit higher up in the draft. Maybe a Roger McQueen. He could be a good fit. A Mike Missa, although he's projected to go top 3. I don't think the Flyers are going to get up that high. But, I mean, we'll see what happens. But I think they can use the draft picks as compensation for, going out and getting a restricted free agent and signing them to a nice deal. A guy like a Wyatt Johnson, or as much as I don't want to see him leave Anaheim, but if he comes to Philly, maybe a Mason McTavish.
Marco Rossi on that list too, as we've spoken about.
Marco Rossi is on that list. He absolutely is.
And to get a guy that you'd have team control too within that restricted free agency, you know what I mean? So that way you can make that signing count for when this team is ready to compete, even if it is 2028.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Lenny saying, I feel like Frost and Farabee with a pick could have gotten you possible big talent.
No.
Joe's saying, what's y'all scores predictions for Sunday? I got Eagles 40, Chiefs 28. Chiefs last 8 points comes in garbage time blowout. Only way we win. If it's a 1-score game, the refs will make their presence known.
You got to overcome the refs.
It's very hard to. When it comes to the Chiefs, there's so much cheating going on. It's almost criminal. What they did to Buffalo,
can't wait for it to come out.
What they did for Buffalo was really criminal.
Yeah, you still got to.
Houston was even worse.
Yeah, it was pretty bad with Houston too. But Buffalo, I mean, they just flat out screwed them twice.
Yeah, I'm a big believer. Despite the referees, you have to make the plays regardless. They didn't screw them on 4th and 1. Josh Allen didn't get there.
Oh yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Oh, he absolutely did.
He
got
did
past
not
the
get there.
line.
I've seen the
Not
picture.
only-
He
not only
falls
that,
a
they
half
got
a yard
past-
short.
He got the first down on the first play. The guy got the first down. So that's the whole point. It shouldn't have even gotten to that point. And by the
No,
way, he
it
did
pr-
get past there.
You still got to make the plays regardless. It's the same thing in
And-
hockey.
and-
People who
and
blame
the
the referees, it's a
that-
cop out. You got to make the play.
That the interception when the ball hit the ground and they gave them the ball. Are you kidding me?
Okay, that's human error. Like, I agree. Like, the refs are not
It's
good. They're
always
not good
human
in
error
any.
when it comes to the
Stop.
Chiefs.
Stop. Listen. Referees are bad in all 4 sports. Officiating is bad. You have to overcome
the
it.
officiating. You'll see. You'll see. You guys are gonna learn a very unfortunate lesson, just like you did 2 years ago with how they screwed you guys with Bradbury. That was
We didn't screw us with Bradbury. Bradbury made the hold.
yeah, but
He
they
even
didn't
admitted
have to-
it was a good call.
They didn't have to call it. They did not have to call it. And what was that play with Mahomes? Was that the Texan game when 2 guys hit each other and they never even touched Mahomes and they called a 15-yard roughing the passer? Or it was
Listen,
it's just
best way to
it's
say it
just-
in the NFL. When you are good, you are going to get more calls to go your way.
No,
when you're
no.
in
When
that
it comes
top
to
tier,
the
it's the
Chiefs,
same thing happened
when
with
it
Brady.
comes to the Chiefs,
No. It's not the Chiefs. It happened with Brady as well. When you're in that top
yeah.
tier and you're elite, you're going to get some more calls going your way. The refs are not going to make or break this
Let
game.
me tell you something.
The Eagles are going to make or break this game.
They
They
were
have to make the
16.
plays.
They were 16, and they had all 17 games. They had fewer penalty yards than the other team. Come on,
Okay, and
that's my point.
but that doesn't distinct the fact that the Eagles are
come on,
going to have to make plays.
If you touch Mahomes, it's a penalty.
If you touch any quarterback right now, it's a penalty. It's not just Mahomes.
No, it's not. That's the whole point.
Oh, please, you can't even tackle a quarterback anymore without it being roughing the passer. Don't give me that.
Nice praise.
When it comes to the Chiefs, you guys, you're going to learn a very unfortunate
game.
You're going to learn a very unless you blow them out, you're going to learn a very unfortunate lesson.
Whatever.
I really don't care who wins this Super Bowl, but all it needs to do is fall in. I think I might have gotten the 5 best boxes that I've ever gotten in terms of Super Bowl boxes.
Get that money.
I got 3-6, 7-6, 1-0, 0-1, and then a 4-8. All right, that one's a little off, but that could happen too.
It's not a devil's advocate. It's a
Joe,
fact.
oh my God, Joe's
It's
comment.
a fact. It doesn't. Whatever the rest, you still have to make a play.
We need a
The
mute
people
button.
that cop out, that blame refs, is the worst cop out ever. I see it in the Flyers talk all the time. It's the worst. Like, you want to blame the refs? You got to make a play. Despite what the refs are doing out there, calling or not calling, you still have to make a play. The refs are not going to.
You make a play, and then the refs.
Why a team
Listen, there was a flag that was picked up on the last play when Kincaid dropped the ball. The referees threw a flag, okay, just in case he held on to the ball, and then they picked it up. You can't tell me that wasn't planned. Just in case he caught the ball, they were going to call a penalty on Buffalo.
We'll see what happens. But listen,
facts are facts. They had actually thrown a flag.
No. I don't.
Even the announcers said that.
I used to think the same way. I don't anymore because you at the end of the day, you still have to make a play.
No, Joe, I'm not going to mute him. This is too good.
Blaming the referees for any loss or win is the worst possible argument you can ever bring up for any sport. If that's the case, you should not be debating sports. Ever.
Really? Did the Saints, so the referees had nothing to do with that year the Saints got lost to the, who was it, the Rams? Because there was pass interference and the referees didn't call it?
I don't remember all that. You're going back too far for me to remember.
That wasn't that long ago. When was that? That was when, it was the Saints and the Rams, and the Saints should have been in the Super Bowl that year. And the Saints fans were so angry that instead of watching the Super Bowl, they had a replay of their Super Bowl win against the Bears, and they boycotted that particular Super Bowl. Yeah, it was when the Rams played New England.
If this game is rigged, do you really, really think that?
Oh, I think
Roger Goodell doesn't realize that there's extreme repercussions of it.
If it's a close game, If it's
Well
a close
done, Chris.
game,
Well
you
done.
lose. The
Comment
only way
of the
you
night.
win, the only way you win is if you beat them by 2 scores. If there's a close game, you're done. It's over. You're not going to win. That's simple. I'm convinced they do that. The referees do that with the Chiefs every time, and it's disgusting.
You do realize that if there is any kind of tampering of any, there's like really bad consequences going for Roger Goodell. You think he's really going to put himself in that position?
Why 2 of the referees in the Chief Buffalo game got suspended. So I mean, you can't
That's
even make.
kind of my point.
I don't think it has anything to do with the Chiefs. I think it's Roger Goodell wants Kelsey and Swift in the limelight as much as possible because
course
it
it
equals
is.
dollars for the shield.
Mhm.
You want to point the finger to anybody, you look right at the commissioner.
Well, we know that.
I believe that more than the refs are gonna. Oh, the refs are gonna be in the Chiefs' favor.
Well, they are in the red Chief favor, but under the instruction of Goodell. That's my
Right.
conspiracy theory.
Correct.
I heard the conspiracy theory that a friend of mine said that the Chiefs would win, and then Kelsey would propose to Taylor Swift right during the trophy ceremony. Which,
Oh.
my God,
I'm going to need
Off theory, like,
I'm going to need
You
a
can go
mop
through the
if that
color
happens, 'cause
theory.
I
You can
might
go through all
vomit
these
over
other
the
theories.
floor.
It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's right. You can go by the color theory. Yes, the color theory has been correct.
that is a very interesting choice of 2 sports there. Hockey and Formula One. That is the first time I think I've ever heard that combination. Interesting. Very interesting.
it.
So,
Well, if you can bet on it,
I was actually
it's
just
okay.
watching Gran Turismo
Yeah.
before we went on there.
nice.
Is that any good?
It's a phenomenal movie. Phenomenal movie.
Check it out.
Yeah.
So that would actually probably go down in history as the best video game movie if it's as good as you're saying it is.
I think if you're a fan of I'm sorry I'm calling him Hopper, but that's where I know him from, Stranger Things. I apologize to the actor, but he's phenomenal as the engineer. Orlando Bloom. But it's basically about sim racers, a sim racer becoming actual Formula One, and it's based on a true story.
Interesting. Interesting.
I mean, Resident Evil will always be my favorite video game movie of all time. It will always be the best.
Beckinsale.
Mhm.
No, that was Underworld.
David Harbour. Oh, that was
Underworld.
Underworld.
That was
Yeah.
Mila
My
Jovovich.
bad.
Mila
My
Jovovich.
Right. Mila Jovovich. Yeah, right. I always confuse them. But David Harbour, that's what I was thinking of. Sorry, David.
It's all right. But I will say Mortal Kombat will be the one for me. But on the
So
video.
bad.
The first movie, not the second one.
No,
Anyway.
they were both really bad compared to the new one. The new one was actually kind of entertaining.
Oh, just slew Fit Johnson in the corner. I know you guys are a little ahead of me, but I just saw that. Bullshit.
So,
Oh boy.
as the second period continues here between Utah
35 just
and
scored.
the Flyers, and Utah just tied it up, as you were saying, Brad. Sergachev with the goal there. Oh boy. Well,
They got traffic in front, and he took a shot. He got a shot from the top of the circle and blasted it home.
well, what's the one thing we always say about this team? They have a hard time defensively being consistent in shutting things down, and it's only tied though.
You know, it's a dirt. It was kind of a dirty goal. They were able to block the first shot, but unfortunately, they got a second shot, and Urson was screened. He didn't react in time.
I mean, the Flyers are the worst second period team in hockey, so there's
that is true.
Unfortunate stat. But I will say the screen from Gocher was not ideal. Sergachev kept the puck low, put it right between everybody's legs.
So I think, it's about that time. So as the second period continues, we'll wind this thing down, and time flew. Time really flew tonight. Unfortunately, it does have a bad habit of doing that every now and again when you're having fun, right? But that'll do it for this edition of Flyers Talk A2D. And we hope everybody out there enjoyed the show, as we always enjoy talking to you guys out there in the fam. And, hopefully the Flyers
just scored.
Oh,
2-1.
There we
What a
go.
response.
That's what we're talking about. That's how you
Forster.
respond. Forster, there we go. We were talking about Forster earlier on in the show, and he responds with a nice little goal there. It's backed
There
up
was
to
a
2-1.
The new day may be dead, but I still believe in the power of positivity. You know what I mean?
And
Hey!
did you notice where he scored from? 6 inches from
Yep.
from the crease.
He was right in the dirty area, right in front of the
Yep,
goal,
that's
right on the
where you have
porch.
to- That's where you have to score.
Good
Right?
placement from Coots on that goal too. I
Yes.
talked
Very
football
good.
for 10 minutes, Joe. Stop it.
All right then. So we thank everybody for
You
joining
brought it up.
us.
Very true.
But you did take the bait.
Every time.
So we hope everybody will enjoy the rest of this game here tonight and enjoy the game Thursday. Hopefully, we will have Kuzmenko and Pelletier back into the lineup for the first time in their orange and black jerseys, hopefully. And then next week here on A2D Radio, we will not have a game to live react to because the next time the Flyers play will be the 22nd after Saturday because we have a little thing called the Four Nations face-off is coming up. So that is right around the corner. That came up fast.
And it's at a great time for the Flyers right now where these young guys can get a breather as well as allowing for these new players to come in. I think that this trade was made now with that in mind. Plus, you still have lots of time till the March 7th or 8th trade deadline, too, to where you could still make more moves.
Absolutely. So that will be what we have for you guys. We hope that everyone will enjoy the Super Bowl as well coming up on Sunday. Excitement flying through the air here in Philadelphia. The tension is so high you could cut it with a knife, and I'm sure that that will be even worse by the time we get to Sunday. But we hope that everybody enjoys it all the same. I will not be watching the halftime show. I'll probably be taking a piss break by that point.
Nope. I'm
But
gonna do anything else.
But we hope to see you guys next week right here on A2DRadio.com. We were brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, the Dr. Paul Vidal. Until then, you stay safe, you stay healthy out there. Go Birds. We'll see you guys next week right here on A2DRadio.com. Peace and love, everyone.